What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here. So you might notice something a little different going on behind me. Yeah, I've officially moved, and it was a long and arduous process over this past weekend. Very mentally and physically drained, which is why I'm also a little late on uploads this week. But I'm here now. Good to officially be moved in. Still have some stuff to get moved around. Might take a little bit longer, but at least I've got the main stuff here and I can officially start recording in the new area, new location. So this is what it'll look like for the time being. I will say that I do have some ideas about what I want to do behind me, maybe setting up some sort of backdrop and maybe even finding a way to do some green screen as well to have some interesting backgrounds behind me when I'm talking about shows and soccer and all of that. Obviously, with that being said, obviously this means I was not able to talk about some of the soccer matches that went on this past weekend. So I'm going to dig into kind of a little bit of a retrospective look at them now, starting with Atlanta United on Saturday night. I was at the game. I did go to Mercedes-Benz for the first time this season, and what a game to choose to go for the first time. A nice, boring 0-0 draw. And I will say, there is some stuff to be said about the team is still trying to click. There's a lack of cohesion because some of the passes just were not coming off, understandably so. Some people are making runs that other players are not reading. So there is going to be a bit of a growing period as these new players get accustomed to the players around them. But the overall feel of the game was not great. It was a very boring match. Red Bulls came in and made it boring by just keeping a lot of possession. Didn't really look to penetrate very often, and even when they did, it wasn't very quality. So overall, the game just had this lack of quality feel about it that was not fun to watch. We did create some chances throughout the match, but none of them were really quality chances. They were all kind of half chances or missed kicks. Nothing that really got me excited to see what was going to happen. But a couple of the players that I did want to talk about that stood out. First of all, Muyumba in the middle. I did talk about in the match against Charlotte how I was worried about him. I didn't understand why he dropped off so much from where I saw him at the beginning of last season. I will say this match against Red Bulls, he looked a lot more like what I'm used to seeing from him. A lot of energy in there, a lot of work to try to win the ball back, to get on the ball and make things happen. Overall, his performance was really good. And it gets me really excited to see, is he going to continue to grow and get better from here? I will also give a shout out to Amador. I do think part of my praise with him comes from the fact that the first two matches we had Hernandez and then Abram on the left side. So it was just nice to have a true left back who is a decent player over there. As far as his overall performance, it was good, but I do think the fact that we had such poor performances on the left side in the first two matches really made his performance seem that much better. I still do have a lot of concerns about the fact that we don't really have a backup option on the left or right side. Edwards did a little bit better than what we saw in Charlotte, but he's still not good enough to be playing at this level. So the fact that he's our backup option, we need Lennon to come back now. And we don't have anything past that. And even Gregerson and Williams, we don't have anything past them. So there is still a concern there about the lack of depth. But having Amador back definitely solidified our defense a little bit more and gave us a bit more defensive quality on our left side. Outside of that, a couple of the other mentions are more negative, but Moranchuk really needs to pick up his pace because we have so much pace in our attack that just looks to get out, play quickly, knock it around, and try to break through the defensive block. And anytime it goes to Moranchuk, everything just slows down. Anytime we're breaking out, anytime we're moving the ball quickly, knocking it around, it gets to him and it's just done. He takes 4 or 5 touches, goes nowhere with it. He's under pressure. He has to go backwards or he gives it away. It's never quick enough. I talked about it before, but if he's going to play that slowly, he needs to make that time. He needs to make the most of it. And he doesn't. Every single time it came to him, it was just, I expected the play to die. I expected our attack to die. And I would say probably 75 to 80% of the time, that's where it died. I also want to bring up Silva as well, because he came off the bench as the last sub of the game. And I will say there's a concern that he's not one of the first subs on. Last season, I thought everybody was raving about him. Everybody was talking about him like he was going to be really good and a lot of hype around him. I'm not seeing it. The fact that he's not the first one off the bench, it's Mascara coming on instead of him. And Mascara is not anything to write home about. He has that one great shot in the first game, and then he's done nothing since then, like I predicted him to do. The fact that Silva's not coming on before him makes me think that he's not showing anything to Dyla as far as why he needs to be the first one on the pitch. So I'm concerned about why he's fallen off, kind of similar to what I was saying about Muyumba in the last match, because I do remember seeing a couple of the games last season where he did seem like he had some good quality about him, but now it doesn't feel like he brings anything whenever he comes on. That's about it for Atlanta with Dyla as the new manager. It's going to take some time to see what he's going to bring. I don't really know what his tactics are still. Feels like it's still kind of slow, still kind of dull in possession. Our breaks are not as quick as they need to be, and we have enough pace where we should be trying to get him behind quickly. I do think his subs need to improve because in the last two matches, it feels like the subs haven't really changed the game. And honestly, even in the first match, Mosquera obviously comes on and scores the winner, but that feels more like a fluke because, again, Mosquera doesn't do that every match. He does it once in a blue moon. So it feels more like a fluke of a sub that worked out than an actual tactical switch that changed the game and affected it. So it's still early days, still too early to judge and say whether or not Dyla is going to work or some of these players are going to work. I can at least say that right now I'm still concerned. Concerned about the lack of depth in defense and concerned about the quality of some of these players that we brought in that I just do not think are living up to their potential. But now on to Chelsea, because we did eke out a 1-0 win against Leicester. I got to tell you, what an underwhelming performance. To get a 1-0 win against the second worst team in the league and the celebrations after as well. I get the fact it's good to get these wins. We've got 3 in a row now. We got a good chance to win 4 in a row against Copenhagen this week. Good to get these wins, but stop celebrating like we just won the league. The jumping up and down and hugging all the coaches at the end. Like for Maresca, I don't know. I see a lot of what he's doing, a lot of the stuff he says in interviews and post-match interviews, and it's starting to piss me off. That celebration at the end, that to me is you're trying to build up like, yes, we're back. We're not. We've beaten the 2 worst teams in the league at home, and we beat a side that probably would do well to finish in the top half of the championship. We've not done anything, and this was not a good performance. You climbed over a molehill. All you had to do is just take a step, and yet somehow you wore yourself out doing that. You barely made it over, and now you're celebrating as you've got a mountain on the horizon that you got to climb. And Arsenal and then Tottenham. And you're celebrating as if, yes, we've done it. No, you still have so much more to do. Don't celebrate as if we're done. But that's what it feels like. These celebrations, this feels like the celebrations of a team that have just basically won the title. Like, we're done, we did it, we're good, guys. No, you're not. But let's talk about some of the key moments. First of all, talk about the referee, because my God, what a terrible performance from him. I mean, the penalty is deserved, and the first one in the first half was probably a little weak from Palmer to go over. But then the 2 in the second half that he missed, just clear cut. And VAR should be stepping in for sure. The one on Neto, yes, he drags his leg, but it's not his dragged leg that gets kicked. He drags his leg, doesn't get the contact, so he lifts his leg again to go. And then as he's trying to go again, that's when he gets clipped. And then the handball is just clear and obvious. All these times that we've seen these ones where, guys here jumping up and his arms are close or it's here. We've seen a lot of those given that just never look like handballs. They seem like they're too close. This was not close. This was like 10, 15 yards. I think it was Cody is turning his back. And it's not just he turned his back and his arm's here and it hits. It's he turned his back and lifted his little chicken wing up and blocked the shot. That motion right there, as you're turning, you do that, that's making yourself bigger. That's blocking the shot. It's a penalty. It's a yellow card. You have blocked a shot with your arm. End of story. It's a penalty. The fact that the ref doesn't give it and the fact that VAR says, nope, that's good, it's embarrassing. But let's talk about the penalty that was given and Palmer's subsequent miss. First of all, I will say referee did a terrible job of controlling the situation because it was over the top what Leicester and the keeper were doing. There has to be a sense of control from the referee. I know the other team is always going to do the little silly stuff to try to cost as much time as possible, to try to put as much time into the kicker's head as possible, to try to psych them out. I know they're going to do that, but that's where's the referee. He has to have the strength to kind of shut it down. But he let it go on for way too long. I mean, he's sitting there on the edge of the box for probably a good minute while the keeper is just standing off his line the entire time. And the AR is telling him to get back on his line, and he's not. And he's just sitting there pointing and pointing. Finally, the ref's done at the top of the box. And then he comes over, tells the keeper to get back on his line. And he apparently tells Palmer that, hey, you have to move the ball, which it didn't look like it was off of the spot. Like, I don't know if the rule actually says that it has to be touching the penalty spot, but I'm pretty sure as long as a part of the ball is over it, it's not an issue. And what I saw, it looked like part of the ball was over the spot. So the fact that he lets the keeper tell him what to do, he does that and then still doesn't really get the keeper back on the spot. It just takes way too much time. And as a referee, you have to have more control over the situation than that. And he doesn't. Obviously, all of that time and where Palmer is right now, I will say maybe a little dumb to let him take the penalty. Like, I get you want him to score to get the confidence back, but the form he's in right now, the way he's been kind of rushing his shots, I did not expect him to score that. So it was no surprise at all when the keeper saved it. It feels like it's compiling onto Palmer right now. And I feel like that's where for Maresca, until he gets the confidence back, I would say until he scores again, I would probably say no more penalties. Especially after the game, whenever Maresca says apparently he had diarrhea, which I will say, this is something else when it comes to Maresca and what he's been saying recently. It's starting to piss me off. Everybody's getting ill, and I don't think that that's what's going on. With Mudryk, he was ill, and then we find out apparently was found to have some stuff in his system. With Sancho, he was ill, but then he comes back, and it seems like no, I don't think he was. James, he's ill, or is he injured? There's several times where stuff is going wrong, and oh, they're just ill. I get you're trying to protect your players, but don't insult our intelligence by just claiming every single time something's wrong or somebody's not there. Oh, they're just sick. At some point, people are going to catch on that that's what's going on. That basically anytime something's going on behind the scenes that you don't want to get out, your excuse is they're sick. And then the one time somebody actually is sick and you say that, people are going to start theorizing, well, what's going on behind the scenes? Because every time he says somebody's sick, they're not actually sick. Yeah, talking about some of the good things on the pitch, because Caicedo and Fernandez both had a pretty solid game. Fofana comes back from injury and didn't make any mistakes. I still wasn't convinced by him. There was one moment in particular where cross comes to the back post and he is completely unaware of what's going on behind him. I think it was Sancho was on the right side at that time and he didn't track his man coming back. But Fofana still should have some awareness of what's going on. I will say I've complained about it with Colwill as well. Both of them, for some reason, just anything behind them, no idea. Completely clueless. Can't take a moment to see what's behind them and just be aware that there's somebody making a run. It's always just cross to the back post. Oh shit, there's somebody back there now. But the big standout is, of course, Cucurella with the goal to win it. And it's funny because I was even talking to my dad. He's kind of stopped watching the matches because he's gotten bored of it. I can't say I blame him, but also at the same time, it is weird because typically I'm the more negative one. So if either of us were to stop watching matches out of frustration, I figured it would be me. I went down to talk to him though after majority of the first half, and I even said to him, like, it's kind of sad that the person who looks most likely to score, our most dangerous player right now, is Cucurella. And then he goes and scores in the second half. Like I said, he seems the most likely to score. And a lot of it is just down to his work rate, his intensity, his willingness to make runs and get on the ball and actually do something with it. Because there were several times as well where it feels like somebody just needs to take an early shot, but they almost try to do too much. There was the one with Palmer where he picks up the ball. Keeper's basically at the top of the 18 on the left side of the 18. I think Palmer, in confidence, picks his head up, sees that, and just puts it in, no problem. But of course, where Palmer is now, and where a lot of these players are in the attack, they overthink it. They try to do too much. He tries to take on a defender, gets it blocked. Everybody's going through that at the moment. Everybody's lacking the creativity. Neto, I will give some credit to because his work rate off the ball, probably the most exciting thing about our attack at the moment. He doesn't really get the credit I think he deserves because he's not scoring. I think he might have actually got the assist for Cucurella, but he's not doing much in the final third that is getting people excited. But he's providing the work rate off the ball that Jackson did. And I think that's what is going to hopefully give us a chance until Jackson gets back to possibly pick up some points against some of the tougher teams that we're going to face. Because like I said before, Maresca finally tried it. I think Neto fits the false nine much, much better than Nkunku did. But we've got Copenhagen this week and then Arsenal on the weekend. Hopefully get past Copenhagen because, again, to get knocked out of the Conference League would be embarrassing. And for Arsenal, I mean, it's going to be rough. It's at the Emirates. Obviously, they're going to be looking to bounce back from the embarrassing draw this past weekend. They probably will get to rest a lot of guys against PSV because of their first leg performance. So it's going to be a very rough game, but I just hope we can at least put in a good performance. I feel like the best I can hope for in that match is a draw. But we'll see. We'll see if they actually turn up with a good performance and a good result on top of it. And then for Atlanta, we've got Inter Miami coming up this weekend. Don't know what to expect with that. Like I said, we need the attack to start clicking because that's where I think I was most excited for this season was our attack, was how good Latte and Almiron and Saba were going to work together. And it just hasn't clicked like I thought it was going to. It's good to see our defense get a clean sheet, but I don't expect them to do that in most games because Red Bulls were just not good going forward. I will also say this weekend I'll be on a trip, so I will not be able to review the weekend matches on the weekend. I might give another retrospective look next week when I get back, but I will be able to at least talk about the Copenhagen match. I hope to continue to grow this space. I hope that it looks good. I know the light might be a little distracting. Unfortunately, that seems to be the best place to put the lamp because there's no overhead light for some reason. But like I said, hopefully get a backdrop, hopefully make it look good. But this is where my reviews will be for the time being. I think I do have one more review that I did at the previous house that will be going up tonight. But from here on out, this will be what the background looks like for the most part. But with all that being said, if you're an Atlanta United fan or a Chelsea fan, let me know what you guys think on the games this past weekend. What were your thoughts? Let me know in the comment section. We could talk about and discuss all that good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe if you like the new place, if you're excited to see what's coming next. Also, check out the channel. We have a lot of reviews and some Let's Plays on there, so check those out if you have time. But until next time, I hope you guys have a great day. I'll talk to y'all later. Peace out.